Welcome to PAXO. In this video, we will show you how to use our PAXO battery in your PlayStation controller version 4 and higher. But how do I know which version I have? Over the years, Sony has regularly developed the DualShock controller for the PlayStation 4. However, there was only one externally visible change to the controller from version 3 to version 4. While the old controllers version 1 to 3 lack a light bar on the touchpad and have black buttons, version 4 and higher are equipped with a light bar and grey buttons. Many sources say there's only version 1 without, and version 2 with a light bar, which is partly true if one focuses solely on external characteristics. However, the info is not enough for exchanging internal components. For those who want to distinguish the versions exactly, we've linked the comprehensive PAXO PS4 controller overview in the video description, which you can download there. Important for you to know, for version 4, if you have a light bar, you'll need a different battery than for versions 1 to 3 without a light bar, and the procedure for changing the battery is also different. If you have an older controller of version 1 to 3, then click here above on the appropriate video. Continue watching this video here if you have a DualShock of version 4 or higher. It is advisable to arrange all the components from our set and your tools. Your PlayStation 4 controller, the Phillips screwdriver, the spudger, the white spacer clips, a bowl or plate for the small screws, and of course, our new and more powerful PAXO battery. Let's go! First, ensure the controller is fully shut down and turned off. To do this, the easiest way is to hold down the PS button for about 10 seconds until the LEDs on the controller turn off. Place your controller with the bottom side up in front of you. Now you can remove the 4 small Phillips screws with the screwdriver. To protect the PS4 controller, it has 4 plastic hooks in addition to the screws, securely holding the top and bottom shells to prevent unauthorized access. 2 notches are located closely on the side of the L1 and L2 keys. The other 2 are sitting relatively in the middle to the left and right of the external and headphone output. First, grab the controller top and bottom shell with your thumb and index finger on the thigh and pull them apart slightly. Once the gap is large enough, you must insert one of the distance holder clamps in between. To unhook the top shell, we need to push it outwards. To do this, we use the spudger, which we insert into the slot, and move it forward towards the R1 button, with light pressure until it clicks. Important! It is not about pushing the 2 halves apart, but creating an offset between the upper and lower shell. If the lower shell is pushed in and the upper shell out, the hook jumps out and does not break off. If the page is unhooked, you have to place a clip as a spacer so that the hook does not snap back on the other side when levering. Ensure that the spacer is properly inserted into the lower shell to prevent it from falling out again during the next steps. Now, you need to repeat the same step on the L1 button and carefully place the second spacer. Now place the controller with the spacers in front of you the right way up. Unfortunately, we cannot access the inner middle hooks directly through an opening. To solve this, we need to pull the lower shell outwards and push the upper shell inwards. Before we can do that, we need to lift the top shell at the back with our thumb and index finger and use a spacer to push the 2 halves of the shell apart by a gap. Now we attach the 4th bracket under the thumbstick and push the lower shell outwards and the upper shell forwards at the same time until the hook next to it unhooks. Just a brief note, it is slightly more challenging to release the hooks when initially opening the product for the first time. We repeat this step with the second hook on the other side. When unfolding, you first have to lift the upper shell slightly to the left and right in order not to get stuck with the tap on the lower shell. Then we turn the controller over so that the battery does not fall out and carefully open the lower shell completely. Attention! The flex cable still connects both halves of the housing. Therefore, act very cautiously. Gently pull the flex cable upwards using the blue tab. If the L2 R2 buttons fall out, they can be easily reinserted later. Now we can unplug the plug on the right side and replace the original battery with our more powerful PAXO battery. Attention! Occasionally the plug is extremely tight in the socket. Hold the socket firmly so that you do not tear it off the board when you pull on the plug. Now insert our more powerful PAXO battery into the battery frame and connect it to the circuit board. Now we can plug the flex cable back into the socket on the mainboard. Then we check all plug connections again and whether L2 and R2 are firmly seated in the hinges. Now we can close the controller again. You should make sure that neither the flex cable nor the vibration motor cable are caught or squeezed between the shells. Finally, you just have to screw the 4 crosshead screws back into the lower shell. Task accomplished! Now you can test the controller. If you have any questions or comments, please inform us. We are happy to assist you. We have documented FAQs and answers in the video description for your immediate reference. Enjoy gaming, your PAXO team.